Ship Happens, the show where crew tell their experiences of working on cruise ships, hosted by Jimmy Crew and Jolly Roger. Hi, guys, welcome back to another episode of Ship Happens with Jimmy Crew and Jolly Roger. I think at the last episode we were talking about roommates because of all the different nationalities that we have on board. So that's another interesting fact about ships that many
Yeah.
people don't get to see, or they're always asking questions, right, Roger?
Yeah, we were talking about the different nationalities, how people come on the ships from like 70 different countries. And then not only that you have to work with them and then they are all colleagues and then which is a pleasure, I have to admit. But then you have to also live with people because you're 24/7 there. And we live in cabins. Just so for people that never been on a ship, let's share this. So we live in they're very small cabins and on multiple levels on around the ship in multiple parts. And most of the times in most positions they share cabins, so there's at least two people in the cabin that you spend your time with them. I mean, you don't spend much time in the cabin, right? You because you have long working hours, and then you go to also to crew bar. You go in out in the ports, so you're not spending as much time in the cabin as you would on land. But still, you have to share that small space with another person. And tell me, some positions they don't have. Did you have with your position? You were in the guest services
My position,
area.
like what I mentioned at the first episode, I came on board and I was the odd one. So I came into having my own cabin. I mean, there was a bunk bed there. So I said like, okay, so I'm probably going to get somebody else, but because I was the last one on board, that's how I ended up having my own cabin, which to me, they are small, and that I was prepared for that because I came with low expectations from what my friends told me, like you're going to have a small cabin, it's going to be like military whatnot. But I came on board and I was like, wait, this is not too bad. Like I was able to fit my huge luggage bag under my bed. I had a TV, restroom, refrigerator. I mean everything that you would need, like towels, everything, and
Wow.
so I wasn't really like not upset about the small cabin, but once I went to the next ship or the next contract, that's when I had a roommate. And again, for me, in 5 years, I was very lucky because I mean, sometimes I did have my own cabin because if I was traveling or depending on my position, but for the most part, I did have a roommate. And I got super lucky because again, you had all these nationalities. I had roommates from, I guess my first one was from India. Then I had one from Mexico, from Croatia, from Zimbabwe, who is one of my really good friends. Zimbabwe, Canada. I mean, in 5 years, I guess I had about probably
But which
20
different
roommates.
departments?
Yeah, so I mean, all in the similar because you have like crew and staff, right? So
Mm,
they would try and put you always with somebody that either share a similar schedule, so
right.
that way you don't disturb each other. Because, like I said, like you mentioned, you're not in the cabin for the most part of the day since you're out working, and after that you either go to crew bar or just go to sleep. So that makes a big difference depending on which roommate you have. So if you have somebody with a similar schedule, that's great. The best one, I guess, for me was when you had opposite schedules. So, I go to sleep at, 1 in the morning or well, actually every night at 2 in the morning. That's when the crew bar closed.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
then my roommate, he's outside working because he's on the night shift. So he doesn't get in till about 6 or 7 in the morning, which by that time I'm already awake and going to work. So we always missed each other, and you always had your cabin to yourself. So that to me was like the best. So like I said, I never had any problematic roommates that you just didn't get along, and you always like you learn to kind of uh come like to common ground whenever you had a roommate. It's like, all right, this is my side, that's your side. If you need anything, my name is Jamie Crew, and you're
You
from
have to,
where?
but you
Okay.
have to, right? There's not much choice. I mean, you cannot be selfish. You cannot be because this is a small space that you share with people, and with that one person, you share everything, and this is your privacy that you share. That was the only private time that you have when you're in your cabin. Anywhere other on the ship, you're always around people, right? So this is
Hmm.
this is your private time, and you really get to. either really bond with your roommate and become very good friends, or you really disliking each other and like fighting all the time. So there's no middle
And that is the
ground,
worst. That is the worst because if
and
you don't get
that is
along
so
and
bad.
find a common ground, it could ruin your contract because I mean, you say you have a happy job and you go to work, but then you just feel miserable knowing they have to go back to your room and be with somebody that you just don't get along, and
What was
that
your most
really
difficult time to the thing to adjust with the roommate? Like, what was your
the most
biggest
difficult.
challenge?
I guess it was. I would say the schedule. Like if it was like a schedule when he was sleeping in the afternoons, I have to come in like super quiet to like change clothes for like an evening
No, but I mean,
or
what,
or
like
or
like
pick up some
one
things.
of your habits that you had to change and you hated that you have to change, that you because of the roommates. What was that? Did you watch?
Ooh,
I
a
mean,
habit that I had to change. Uh, I guess getting headphones to watch TV or
mm,
uh, I can't
you
think of
cannot
something
watch
right now. I
TV,
mean, I
right?
can.
We have TVs in the cabins, but it's very difficult to watch because there's someone always either sleeping or like something is happening, right? So you can, and or maybe you want to watch this movie and your roommate want to watch, I don't know, something else.
Exactly. So yeah, exactly. So you have to like really be lucky to be able to like the same shows or the same music to be able like, oh yeah, let's listen to this or let's watch these movies. So you always get into like a little schedule with your roommate. So like, hey, dude, I finished work at 10 o'clock. Okay, let's go watch our episode and then we'll go to crew bar. And then you always have that rule with the roommate. If you meet somebody at the crew bar and you want to bring them back to your cabin, unless you have your single cabin, which again, it's like having a Ferrari on land, like you have your single cabin and it's paradise because you don't have to like you can come in
It's
whenever you want, be
it's a
loud and
game changer.
change and do
Single
whatever you want.
cabin is
It's
a
a
game
game changer,
changer,
right?
but
But for
to
for the
me,
majority, like I said, you have to have a roommate. So if you have a cool roommate, you meet somebody, it's like, hey, listen, go to crew bar, come back like in an hour because I have some cheeky cheeky or I have like
yeah.
a girl, a guy that's coming over. So just I'll see you in a few hours. So those were the cool roommates that always were supportive or understood the rules and respected the rules as well.
Were you supportive for the like your roommates bringing hookups into the cabin?
Yeah, I was never there for them, but they would just be like, "Oh, Manny, here's $10 for the crew bar." I'm
I
like,
was never
"Okay,
there
I'll
for
see you in
them.
an
Well, that
hour." I was the best roommate because you buy me drinks and you do whatever you want. Here's the keys, and I'll see you in a couple hours. So, I mean, that was usually the case when it came to me, same with me, but like I said, for the most part, the first few years, it was super cool because I either had a night shift roommate that we never saw each other for the most part, uh, and really cool friends too. You always have like somebody that knew, and that's another thing that we can talk about on another episode, which is really cool. It's like the little mafia that we have. It's like, oh, if you know this person, you can get this. If you know this, something like that. So, for example, I had a roommate that knew the one of his cousins that worked on board was a chef or a waiter. So,
Hmm.
every now and then we would get like, little snacks or little treats like on elegant evenings, like, hey, here's some lobster. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Lobster? Like to the
Which is
cabin,
against the
which you're not
rules to
supposed
get
to,
into the
which
cabin.
is against the rules. Don't tell
Yeah.
HR, don't tell HR, because that's one of the main rules, like no food in the cabins and this and that, right? But here
Yep.
we are, like, we get a little knock on the door, and my room is, oh, that's my cousin. It's like, what is he doing here? And he comes with a tray with lobster and shrimp, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is amazing. So, and I was always lucky with like with roommates, so I never really had any complaints, and but I did have like some stories of some roommates that you were just like, okay, this guy needs to move, or you need to move because that's the thing with having sharing a cabin is that you can talk to somebody to see if you can change cabins, but for the most part, you have that cabin for the whole contract, so they have to come see you, right, or HR to see if they can
It's
switch cabins or
yeah,
why.
you have to apply for change. You have to have a valid reason. You cannot just change because the cabins on the ships are very limited, and so they cannot just accommodate whenever you want, like or whatever you want. So you have to be like on the list, and then when there's an empty cabin or empty space, then they can transfer you, and so on and so on. But it's to me really it was some of the management, as you mentioned, higher management in higher position on the ship, they have their single cabins, and head of departments and officers, They have their own cabins,
Mhm.
and I was few on few occasions I did have a single cabin, and but not too often. Most of the times I shared my cabin, and I also was lucky, but unlike I didn't. It really bothered me. I didn't allow any cheeky in my cabin because I was so. I'm a sleeper. I love to sleep. I don't spend too much time in the cabin, but I love to sleep, and I need my quiet. And there was a. I remember there was one by accident. I got for 1 week. I got paired up with a guy from casino, and they had completely different
Oh,
schedule from
right. They
me
work all
because
night. They work
they
all
work
night,
online.
yeah.
So they finish their work at 4 a.m. and they I'm sorry. So when I'm in the middle of the sleep and I have to wake up at like 6 or 7 to do my training, and he just finishing, and then he sleeps until noon or 1 p.m. before he starts work, and it was very challenging for me. But that was only for a week. But I did have one roommate that I allowed him. He was nice, and so he would hook up with some occasionally, but usually in the ports. And so we have this thing because I love going off the ship in
Do
ports.
you put
I,
the
lo- I
sock?
love
Do you
this.
put the sock? I heard a lot about the sock, but I never
No,
saw the sock in the
but
door.
never. I
So,
never. He never. I said, don't do it during the night because I really need my sleep. But when we in the port and I will go out, I finish my work and I go out and I come
and you
back
have the cabin
afternoon.
to yourself.
You will have the cabin for yourself, and so that was the arrangement that we had, and he used it. He
Right.
used it a lot, but it was funny, and especially about that person. I have to tell this funny story because it was
Okay.
such a funny guy. He was from Peruvian,
Okay.
and very I say part of entertainment. He was one of the hosts, entertainment hosts, very flamboyant,
Okay.
very over the top, full of energy. And I think you
God,
know. I'm not
I
going to
think I know who
mention.
he is.
Yeah,
Of
you
course
you know
I
you know
know
who
him.
it is.
Yeah.
We
Okay,
were on the same
continue. We
ship
know.
together. Yeah, and
Right.
so I and he was so upbeat and positive that I really
Oh,
liked
yes.
him because there was always good energy in the cabin about him. But he was always so
Right.
unlike me. He was always like some in some rush, and there's always something. And I remember I was roommate when I joined the ship. I was roommate with another entertainment guy. He was American, but he was so laid back. He was so like low energy guy. I don't know how he got the job.
Oh,
He was so low. He would
complete
like
opposite.
he would sleep all the time, like which was suited me good.
Wow.
He would like whenever I come to the cabin, he was sleeping or he wasn't there.
Yeah.
And but he was there for 2 weeks. So he leaves. We were in home port in San Juan in Puerto Rico, and we stayed there all day. Late. We sailed like
Yes.
10
Yeah.
10
From 8 a.m. to
p.m.
10 p.m.
10
Yeah.
p.m.
It was amazing.
So
Amazing.
this guy, so this my roommate leaves, so I'm alone. I do my thing. So cabin is empty, and I have to say, like I'm usually I don't have many things around the cabin. Usually it's my suitcase. I have my toothbrush and toothpaste in shower gel or whatever soap in the bathroom, and like on the nightstand. I don't know if I have like three things, so everything is in my case or in my wardrobe. And so Kevin was like basically, and this guy was also like that. So I leave and they say, oh, you're gonna get a new roommate during the day. So I'm like, yeah, just leave him here. And I come back and there's like three huge luggages in my cabin, and like and there's no one there. And then this guy shows up and he's like, oh, hi, very happy guy, very nice guy. He's like, oh, I need to unpack and all this. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna go out and you do I'm not gonna be on your way. Just unpack and do whatever you need to do, and I'll come back later. So I come back after like 3 hours. I come back to the cabin and it looked like cabin freaking exploded. And he this guy brought so many things with him. And plus he was entertainer, right? So he has his tchotchkes, so many things, right? That was part of him for work, like costumes, different costumes,
Right.
and so many socks and
Right.
shoes. And
Funny stuff.
but
Yeah.
besides that, he's personally have all these things. He's got like 15 different perfumes, right? And then the
Wow.
10 different bottles and potions and lotions
But
and
it was
creams.
all over the cabin. It was all over a
It
cabin
was
like a
every.
hurricane passed by.
He even had like an umbrella with like colorful rainbow color umbrella that was
In
like
case the
there.
sprinklers go off.
I have no idea what's it for, and I hope he's gonna listen to this and he's gonna recognize himself. And a fantastic guy, amazing guy. And and he was the one who was doing the hookups during the day, and he was also very outgoing. But that cabin, and he told me like, how come you don't have anything? I'm like I do, but I just keep my things in my drawers. I
Minimalistic. You were
minimal.
minimalistic.
He said when I came into this cabin, I thought I'm alone. Like there's no one here. It was just his cabin until he realized there's my one drawer that was had stuff.
Yeah, that's
And
all I have.
this guy was but it kind of felt nice because he was nice guy, respectful. So that's important. That's important, that they respect you and you respect your time and you respect them. And it's very challenging and it's very difficult to adjust on your roommates. But again, if you both willing to compromise, I think it can be wonderful friendship. It can be wonderful experience, and then sometimes even friendship for life. I think so,
Of
right?
course, yeah, yeah. You bond with the person and you learn about where they're from and I made and I keep in touch with a lot of friends like that, and I like I said, for the most part, 90% of the time in my 5 years, I met super cool guys. I mean, the only problems I had, I guess, one of them, and thank goodness it was only temporary, but he snored the
Oh,
loudest snorer, and he
that
wouldn't wake up for anything. I mean, I cannot sleep. I mean, I started, like, going to the office and sleeping there, but, I mean, you would, like, bang on the bunk bed, he was above me, so I would
right.
bang, and he would finally turn over, and again, snoring, but so loud. I recorded him, like, a few times because 'cause I'm like, "There's no way this guy is snoring so loud," and I'm a light sleeper for the most part, and I snore sometimes if I'm sleeping, with my head up, but if you just go like, "Manny, turn around," my brain just turns me around and I stop snoring. So, but with this guy, no matter what, I mean, I even poured some water on his face one time because I just couldn't take it. And I ran back to my bed and I was like, "Oh, what happened? Oh, is it raining?" I was like, "What's going on?" But I was like, "Oh my god," and finally, and he had a girlfriend on board, so they were just waiting to put them in couples cabin. That's another thing. If you come
Yep.
on board, that's another thing that many people don't know is that if you have a significant
Partner.
other,
Hmm.
they can put a partner. They can put you in the same cabin, but you have to wait until one's available because they have couples cabin. They have a single bed or a bigger bed, for couples. So,
Yes,
but
because
they're
you
not
don't
always
have
available.
boys are
Mhm.
only roommates with boys and girls with girls. That's the rule.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
So,
cannot
but if
just
you have a
be.
partner, then you
Yep.
can you can actually, get one of those cabins, which is amazing too. If you have your girlfriend, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever the case may
Even if
be,
you hook
then
up
you have
during the
to wait.
contract, you don't have to come on the ship as a couple. But if you find that
Exactly, yeah,
significant other
which
on the
happens
ship,
a
you
lot.
can request.
Mhm.
Yes, and
You
then
have
you
to
break
you have
up after
to
two
link
weeks. You
IDs.
realized, yeah.
Exactly, and then you're like, "Oh, no, I'm stuck here with this person for the rest of the contract," and that's when the drama happens, and that's when the cool stories happen that, "You heard what happened with
Oh,
this couple? Oh my god, yeah, the now they won't let them in the cabin," and you
can you
hear all these
imagine?
stories about that,
Stories
which
like
yeah.
they're so much in love when they're in different cabins, and once they move in together, yeah, the paradise is
Yeah.
done.
That's when you see what little things
Reality
that bother
check.
you that and it's too late, because guess what? You're in this cabin for another month or another 3 more cruises, and
It's like
there's nothing you
marriage.
can do about it.
Yep. Yep. You be
Exactly, so
careful. Be
that's
careful.
a big lesson there too, because that's another thing when you meet people on the ship, like, and they go back to their countries, you're separated for so long that, either you can't go to the country or it's too far or it's too expensive to get to, so that's
But
another,
do you find
sad part of it.
I have a question. Do you find it's more because different people find this differently? Do you find it's better if you have a partner on the ship, and then just have that significant other full contract, to depend to be with them, or if you're flying solo and then you're just available for hookups or like fun, or have no obligations to anyone, because ship can be fun. There's many things that going on all the time, all the parties and all the
Yeah,
time
I
going
was
on.
more of the secret dating on the ship, because I mean, my first contract, I was available, but once I met somebody, and it took me because you get to meet everybody, and then you realize, okay, that's my style, that's my type. We have things in common, and then you start dating whoever you feel comfortable with, right? But I always kept it
Hmm.
secret, so it was, but it takes a
By
while
choice.
sometimes, right? Because I mean, by exactly, but I wasn't like, and I'm sure people will laugh, but they were like, "Oh yeah, sure, like you're the player, whatever." No, I mean, I always stuck with one person during the once I it happened or once we met up
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
we came with to an agreement until the end of the contract. And at the end of the contract, it was like, you know what? If I see you, I see you. If not, then good riddance. Because for me, for example, I was one of the very few Americans on the ship, so I came back home and because as an American, you don't make that much money. I wasn't able to like save as much money to be able to travel to South Africa or to Russia or to all these other
Mm.
countries that were like over $1,000 to get to. So it was like, okay, so I'll see you, and if you were lucky, you would come back to the same ship, or if not, then it was okay. You move on. Go to the next ship, and you're always like, oh no, I'm never gonna meet anybody. Like, oh hello, how are you? Nice to meet you. So it was always
But
like that, which
you
which is kind of
but
sad. Now,
you
what?
were like relationship guy. Like you stick to one, that one.
Yes, yes. I wasn't. I never really. I mean, I can. Yeah, I never really messed around with more than one. So that was.
Oh, okay, okay. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
yeah,
was
different
very,
people like
very. I
some
was very
people
loyal.
don't.
I was very loyal, and that's the thing, and the thing I was like that was because as soon as you do something bad, like if you're playing around or you're being a player, like the whole ship is gonna know in one day or in one week, and then
Oh,
you
there's no
just burn
secrets on
yourself.
the
And
ship.
there's no
That's why I keep
secrets. And
telling
then
people. Mm.
if you're a bad person, the whole ship's gonna know, and then
Oh, very
your whole
quickly.
reputation very quickly. So you try to keep it as decent and as professional as possible.
But still,
So that
many
was
people adopt this lifestyle of just like hooking up culture. They're just having fun, and there's nothing serious. And sometimes it turns out good because both sides don't want anything serious. They're just having fun, and sometimes
right,
maybe
right.
one side want to be go
But
serious,
but
and
it's
the other
always hard to
don't.
tell who does and who doesn't because there's always one that's gonna lose the most. You get attached no
Yeah,
matter what, and then the end, one's gonna lose. Which has
it's a
happened,
risky
and that's
business on the
actually
ship.
another cool topic we can talk about the ship. Like, because people say like, "Are you allowed to date on the ship?" It's like as long as it's with crew. I mean, it's anything goes.
Yes,
If
crew
you
and
want to meet,
crew. Yes,
obviously, like crew and guests, that's completely different. We're like definitely not allowed zero fraternization with the guests, but between crew
true.
I would say it's almost like encouraged, because you go to the medical center, we get free condoms, you get free all this free stuff or whatever, and anything goes, But I mean, I guess that's another topic we can talk about
Oh,
relationships on board.
Yeah, we will. But let me talk about. I would just remember when you mentioned condoms. Funny story. No, it happened to this friend of mine, and she's a girl, right? And she was a colleague trainer of mine, and it was so during one training. There is this one training that we talk about medical and all these things, and like um, what you're gonna do if this happens and this happens and this gastrointestinal illness when you have diarrhea, which is you have to stay contained
Right.
and all these things. So
Correct.
there's one training
GI.
for that, and there's a chapter in the training that when you talk about the sexual transmitted diseases and you have to be careful and this and that and so she was very good trainer and she always tried to do things right to animate students, crew, to
Right.
make them because that's how you make them memorize more things.
Learn. Yeah.
So whenever she was doing this training, because you said we had free condoms in the medical center that you can just take whenever you want and how many you needed. So she will always go before the training and then collect like I don't know 15, 20 condoms and just as a fun thing but
As
also
a
also
prop.
useful thing. She would hand out these condoms to people because some people maybe they shy to go get them and something. So but one time she was late for the training, right? So she needs to the training, the students are already coming, everything is set up, and she realized that like in a minute she needs to start training, but she forgot condoms, right, to give out. So she's like, "You guys, just give me a minute. I'll be right back." So she's running through I-95 and getting to the medical center and just like picking up like 20, 25, 30 condoms, right, in a rush, and then rushing back out. And then people are watching her and like calm down, lady. I mean, how desperate are you? It's like, so she's running on 95 with like 30 condoms in a panic,
She
right?
met the men of her life.
And then she was like, and she didn't realize, she realized later like what she did, because she, in her mind, she's just doing her job, she's picking up condoms for the
Right.
students,
But
right?
everybody that saw her thought
But
she was desperate
everybody, she was
or
like,
that she was
calm
about to
down.
get lucky because
I know that you're a sailor and you're at sea, but I mean, come on. And it was so funny story that we still talk about after years and years. So there's many things, and then that was a good thing. You have a medical 24/7, and you have these things, and we try to educate people because of this hookup culture. And then you meet people from all over the world. Although everybody comes on the ship with clean medicals, right? You have to check up
of course,
everything
yeah.
before you come on board.
That's that
So
that was that's another thing that yeah, like you have to have like medical, you have to be cleared by the medical so everybody's
everything,
clean and yeah,
including I mean all the sexual diseases and everything you need to be like
exactly. So
negative.
that's again with your roommates, you can trust that, everything's clean in your cabin and whatnot, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh
And
so did you ever have like a problematic roommate at all? Like with all this,
uh,
like somebody that you just didn't get
I
along and
I also was
you got in a
consider
fight
myself
or
very lucky, not
uh
in the fight, but I did have my first roommate, not the first, but on my first contract, I had one roommate for like 2 weeks, and then he signed off, and then I got the permanent roommate. And the thing is, with that guy, he was a snitch. We were in the same
oh
department,
god.
so that's the
Snitches
thing.
get
Because
stitches.
that's the thing, because there was team of like 7 of us in my department, and we all got
Really?
along perfectly except him, right? He would just
Oh
tell
god.
on everybody. He would just go to manager and just say, oh, this guy did this girl did this, and I ended up sharing a room with him, and it was so annoying. He was, I want to say, respectful. I mean, he was, with considering sleeping arrangement and everything, he didn't hook up with anyone or something. But well, who would hook up with him? Yeah, right. And so a little burn. But he was. The thing is that I was never able to speak freely inside my own cabin or have some friends there and speak, because we were all avoiding him, because whatever you say, he
He would
would
use it.
yeah, use it against you. And that was difficult. That was the only difficult person that I had. But I have to say, to my personality, one of the main reason I left the ships was that I had to share. I couldn't share cabin anymore. It wasn't the only reason. I mean, after years and years of working,
Yeah.
but one of the main reasons that I got to the point that I really need my privacy, and I really need my sleep, and I
Same
really
here,
need,
same here.
and sharing a cabin was one of the main things that kind of tipped the scale for me to leave that career, at least for now.
Yeah, I think for many too, especially once you get older, you're not,
Yep.
12 years old that you have a roommate or a bunk buddy or whatever. But that's another thing that whenever, depending on the position that I had, that sometimes I did have my own cabin. It made such a big difference, just to have your
Oh
own
God, yes.
personal place and peace and quiet, and do whatever you want in your cabin and not have to worry about some coming in late or being loud or any of that. But I mean, it's definitely a big game changer. But which again, it depends on like also with your roommates. If you're lucky enough to like not even see him, or have like a really cool
Yeah,
roommate, but still, even with the best guy in the world or your best roommate in the world, you're still gonna have like, you
of
want to have
course.
your alone time, to read,
Even
to relax
even
or
when-
whatever.
even when
But
you with your loved ones, I mean, you have quarrels, and you have,
of course,
we're all
yeah,
different people. So, but for some people, you can forgive, and you can, okay, pass that. Okay, yes, I'm going to tolerate that or whatever.
yeah.
But
But if you don't get along from the beginning,
yeah,
it's a
and you
miserable.
have nice people also. I know different experience. I didn't have that, but different experience that I come across as part of HR. So I know these stories from other people as well. That many times the issue was the hygiene. There's a nice guy or nice
Oh
girl
yes,
and everything, but they don't have this. Let's put it nicely, like they don't have the same hygienic rituals,
culture that right,
rituals
exactly.
that, yeah, that you do. And that can
Or
be a
they
big
don't know how
issue.
they smell, and yeah, sometimes,
Yeah,
and like I
yeah,
said, I was lucky, but I mean, I know in some of my neighbors, cabin that I would walk in there and be like, "Oh my god, nobody showered here or what happened?" So
Some people
and
ask
oh
to
boy,
change rooms because their roommates were, they wouldn't do the laundry,
smelly
so
or
they were like keeping the dirty socks there for like a week, or they would like shower like maybe once in 2 days or something,
wow.
or so that can be, again, and it can be a good person, a nice person, a respectful person, but it was just that different in approach in some areas that you cannot handle. And
Yeah,
there's many things that can go right and that can go wrong with roommates,
yeah,
but this is the ship, and this only happens on the ship. This is so typical for the ships. And
exactly.
yeah,
It's
one of the challenges, but for me, again, and I'm happy to hear it's for you as well, it was good. It was good experience. Most of the times, majority of the times, it's good experience. I still have one of my best friends are my roommates, were my roommates, and we still best friends to this day.
Yeah, same here. So I mean, that was I guess the best thing about it, that for the most part, you do get lucky and have good roommates. But I mean, I'm sure there's other people with other different stories and nightmare stories that I've heard, but maybe we can get them in one of the episodes and to
These are
chime in
all the
and give us some
questions,
of their
everything
stories.
everything that we're talking about, you and I, in these few couple episodes so far, and couple more to come. These are all the questions and topics that we're gonna go through with our guests. Once we get to our guests, and we're gonna have a lot of them interesting ones, we're gonna ask them to share their stories about ship and their roommates and their relationships, maybe
And
if they want
any
to.
special stories or
Oh
crazy stories?
yes,
Because I mean, there's so
so
many that
many.
that I mean, I still can't believe it's one of the best experiences. But we'll get to have some other people share some of their crazy stories or fun stories or sad stories. So keep in touch and we'll listen to more episodes coming up soon.
We try to keep it light, right, Jimmy?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah,
All right,
fun, but
so
it's probably gonna get crazier as we go on and feel more comfortable. So
probably, yeah. So
right.
yeah, see you guys in the next episode of Ship Happens. Bye.
Have a good one. Ciao.